Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Future is Football on the weekly armchair kickoff. I am Nathan, joined by Deck this evening. Deck, how are you doing, sir?
Good, man. Good.
Good.
The international break is nearly over. Thank God.
Yeah, it's always good to try and find a show to fill that gap because it becomes such a dull and boring. I don't like the fact it's so early. Do you know what I mean? Like it comes to get the season back, and then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, we've got a week without Premier League football.
Three games in, it makes no sense.
Yeah, not ideal at all, especially after an international summer as well.
Yeah.
It seems ridiculous to have it so quickly. But anyway, that's what we're here for. We're here to try and bring some joy to the evening when there's international games going on. If you are joining us, really appreciate you joining us. We will try and keep you updated as best we can with the games going on tonight. But I thought I'd do a show tonight because on Saturday, obviously, we had the England-Ireland game, and there was a lot of talk of loyalty in the game and loyalty in football. And I thought, well, that's a fucking great idea for a show. So I thought, let's go for it. So before we get started, obviously, we're very big on our mental health on this channel, and we've got a connection with Manchester Mind. Really important to me, and I'm sure it's important to Deck as well. Everyone that we talk to, we really appreciate people reaching out and talking to us. And the main thing we always say is just don't suffer in silence and always reach out to the people you haven't heard from in a while. And if you need any support or help or even would like to donate, just head over to Manchester Mind and they will give you all the information that you need. Right. When it comes to loyalty in football, it's definitely a phrase that's thrown around a lot nowadays, but it doesn't seem to have the same gravitas it used to. Would you agree with that, Dick?
I would. I definitely don't think, the one club players are few and far between now, more so. And I think a lot of what they like to coin the modern day footballer, I don't think we see their loyalty anymore. In teams, they're very few and far between. And it's a pity.
It is a shame. I think it's got something to do slightly. I think especially modern, like right now, it's PSR and the financial fair play. It's definitely got something to do with it at the moment because you're seeing players like recently we saw McTominay leave United and he could have been a one club player. You know, there was every opportunity for him to stay at United for a long period of time and have that one club status. But it just seems like with the PSR, you're sort of forced into that. And we're going to look into that on a later show. But it's definitely something that you would consider as stopping that progression from being just an academy player to a squad player to like top starter for a number of years. Like I've got some names that I threw together. You've got people like Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs, over 1,000 appearances between them and more for one club. It's just you'd never imagine that happening nowadays.
No, you can't see it because, I suppose with the money being thrown around in the game as well, players' heads get turned. Agents are taking a bigger emphasis on what they do. Agents are making so much money off players these days that they're getting in their heads saying, well, we have this next big move planned. And, it's the agents, I think, are ruining the game. Fergie was right when he banned a few of them. And deal with them, they've definitely a lot to answer for what's going wrong with players, and they're turning players' heads. We've seen players who've played great for a few seasons turn into absolute dustbins because they're turned by money and turned by agents filling them full of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a shame because we look back at players like that and we think they were great servants to the club and they put everything, even, Scholes retired and then Fergie asked him come back for another year and we'll win a league, and he did and came back. And you wouldn't get that sort of attitude from a player anymore. It's such a shame. And it's people like seeing there was people saying that Rashford was going to do the same thing, but it just seems like little things like that. You can see that their heads are being turned. And I think, like you say, agents and money definitely has a big part to play in that.
Yeah, they seem to believe the hype about themselves before doing it on the pitch. I've seen it with Pogba, with Martial, with Lingard. They were more interested in TikTok dances and Instagram than putting it out there on the pitch. They seem to have forgotten that what they're employed for and what they need to do is play the fucking game of soccer and play it well and play it right. Forget about the side hustles. They can come in good time, but if you're not doing it on the pitch, you're not going to be respected and no one will give a shit about you then.
No, that's a great point, actually, because obviously Lingard for a while was focused on his clothing brand, and it was during a period of his form where it was so bad, his company basically, it just didn't kick off. I think it's still like trading, but like you say, if you've not got a brand on the pitch, you're never going to make it while playing. And like once the whistle blows on your career and you've retired, you've got all the time in the world to do stuff like that. So focus on the game, and then your brand will build itself. Just look at Ronaldo; he's done it year on, year out, building his brand on and off the pitch. And now he's breaking like millions and millions of subscribers on YouTube, and he's still playing. Yeah, you couldn't argue he's not in a top European league. He's not playing top level football. But numbers like that just are staggering. And we talked about it, me and Reece talked about it on the last show a couple of weeks ago. Like if he was in the top European league, he probably wouldn't. But because he's playing in the Saudi Pro League, no disrespect to the Saudi Pro League, they can go play, do whatever they want to do over there. But to get numbers like that and still be playing, it is impressive. And yeah, it's just such a shame that loyalty in football just seems to. I mean, we do have some players. I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head now that might stay at clubs for a long period of time. But I mean, you've got players like Jared Bowen who sort of come through at West Ham, played a little bit elsewhere beforehand, and you can imagine him staying there for a long time. But even players like that, you can imagine going eventually because an agent, like you say, is going to say, "Look, we've got an opportunity to go here and earn more money."
Yeah, like I always thought we would have pushed a move at one stage for Seamus Coleman. You know, I mean, he spent a long time at Everton, you know, and I'd kind of single him out as one of the mainstay players for Everton, you know. But I mean, like you say, if you don't do it on the pitch, you know, it's a moot point. Look at David Beckham. He might have left United for whatever reason, for getting a boot into the head and wearing a steri strip, you know. I think he personally would have liked to have been a one club player, but his brand grew because he went from top club to top club and put in performances day in, day out, and he worked hard at it. The problem we're seeing with the modern day footballer is they're concentrating less on their performances and more on the off-field shite.
Yeah, trying to earn because as if their money wasn't high enough. Do you know what I mean? If they're earning a minimum of 100 grand a week, as if a side hustle was necessary at that point of their career. Like you mentioned Jesse Lingard, you mentioned like David Beckham and players like that. They could have done all this stuff after. And, you know, you look at players like Lingard, he was a player that I did like at United. And when he went to West Ham, you thought, right, that's it. That's the rebirth of him. And now he's playing in China. And it's like, yeah, it's a great opportunity to go and play over there. Or was it Korea?
South Korea, I think.
South Korea, I believe. Yeah, sorry, yeah. And he seems to be loving it over there. Don't get me wrong, but you know, you could still sense there was little embers of him that could have done it in the Premier League, don't you think?
I think his head got turned. I think at the time United were in turmoil with bringing Pogba back, and I think he turned a lot of younger lads' heads. I definitely believe when Jose was going on about a snake in their midst, he was talking about Pogba.
Yeah.
I definitely think he was just he nearly destroyed our club. I think he was one of the worst. For us to leave him go and then buy him back was just criminal, and then leave him go on a free again.
Yeah, there was a reason he was let go in the first place, and the fact that we went back for him just sort of summed it all up completely. And it's strange that even like modern football, like there is no loyalty when it comes to certain things. Not to say that there isn't, because there is. We're not a negative directive show. There are players that will stay at clubs for a long period of time. So don't go firing comments at me for saying I'm a negative directive show. This is a show purely about opinions. But we've seen recently, like, you know, Raheem Sterling, he's now moved from Chelsea to Arsenal. And that means he's now played for 4 of the top 6 clubs in the Premier League. So where's the loyalty in that, if so to speak? You know, I know it's probably it's a matter of game time, but there's got to be something about yourself that says, look, I've played for this club. To go and play for a rival, for me personally, it annoys me, but I can see a reason why.
Yeah, I don't like it. Like, I mean, even when we signed Michael Owen, I was kind of there.
Yeah, that's a great example.
When we signed Michael Owen, like, I didn't want him at the club because of who he played for. You know, I get why he did it, because, you know, he was leaving Madrid, and I mean, United are still one of the biggest draws in the world. And if you have a choice between Newcastle or Manchester United, 99 times out of 100, you're picking Manchester United, you know. But I still didn't want him at the club. I don't care whether he scored against us for City. I actually met him in the summer and said the only good thing he ever did on a pitch was score against City in the 4-3 win, you know. But there's still something at the back of your mind where you just don't want players from certain clubs coming to your team, and that'll always stick with me. I'm very biased about United, and I'm not going to change that at all. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I always remember whenever we have a conversation, like sometimes on the show or it would be in the group chat, like United's best ever 11, and everyone's go-to goalkeeper is Peter Schmeichel. And everyone seems to forget. They may not forget. They may just brush it under the carpet. But at the end of his career, he made 29 appearances for Manchester City.
Yeah.
And there's that brilliant video, and it goes viral every now and again, where him and Gary Neville meet in a tunnel. And he never forgets. And he just brushes him aside as if to say, no, you're not a friend anymore. And Schmeichel's sort of taken back by it. And that's why I always say that Edwin van der Sar is my all-time favourite goalkeeper. Because I suppose from my generation of watching United, that's who I fell in love with watching during my years. And, but they seem to forget that Schmeichel played for our nearest rivals. And it just seems to get brushed aside.
Yeah, I actually, I grew up with, I wouldn't say I grew up, I was old enough when Schmeichel was playing. But I thought he was the best keeper in the world without a shadow of doubt. And I think he tarnished his reputation by going to City. I couldn't believe it. It didn't matter what money he was being offered or anything. I think there's certain clubs, if you're a professional player playing for Manchester United, there's certain clubs you just say no to.
Yeah.
And you're one of them. My favourite player growing up was Mark Hughes. And for Hughesy to go manage them, I was... destroyed me, I couldn't believe it. And I get why they're going there. I don't think they need the money, if you're on so much amount a week, I don't think you need to do that. And I think Schmeichel, for definite, should never have gone anywhere near City.
No,
not when he was firing at from us after the treble anyway.
No, absolutely. And it annoys me that you see he will support United because obviously he's a pundit now. He does the CBS Champions League, and he's always talking about how he loved his time at United. And I just think, oh mate, you're saying that because there's a generation of United fans that don't remember the fact that you played for City. You're mentioning because you're saying you're a United legend, and he is. I'm not saying he's not a United legend. Let's not put that into. Let's not make that a clickbait headline or anything. I'm not saying Schmeichel's not a legend, but like you say, he's tarnished that reputation by moving there. Doesn't matter what stage of the career. It doesn't matter if you're on one leg at the end of your playing career. There are certain teams you don't play for. There's a great part here by Trevor.
Two questions to ask Peter Schmeichel would be: what was the night of winning the treble like, and why the fuck did you go play for City, you pillock?
Yeah, no, that's it. Because we have this argument all the time that there's certain clubs you wouldn't play for. And it's definitely a case of when people say, oh, yeah, Schmeichel's our best ever goalkeeper. Yeah, but he played for City. And that tarnishes for me just a tad for him not to be my go-to number one goalkeeper in my all-time 11. Trevor says here, good evening, Trevor, by the way. Today's players have no loyalty. It's all about the Benjamins at the end of the day. One club man is a thing of the past. It's like a merry-go-round with players. And Mourinho is the worst as manager. That is a great point.
That's actually good, yeah.
Really good. So obviously Mourinho manages Chelsea, he managed United, and he managed Tottenham, and there was talks of him. I mean, he managed Chelsea twice. There was talks of him going back to Chelsea at one point. He's now managing in Turkey, Roma, Inter Milan. Where else? I mean, it's all just the merry-go-round, like he says. It's just crazy. And at one point, we always assumed that Mourinho was going to be he was one of the best managers, but he has become that sort of merry-go manager, which is quite a shame, really, because I think it comes down more to the fact that he hasn't changed his playing style. He's been so stubborn with it. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely he's got huge ambition, and you've seen that everywhere he's gone. But at the end of the day, money talks for him. He will go literally anywhere. If he finishes in Turkey and the Saudis offer him a big payday, he's going to Saudi to manage them. So he's not worried about who's played for him, who he's managed, nothing like that. He'll follow the cash no matter what. Yeah,
absolutely. Another one by Trevor. I really appreciate you coming on tonight, Trevor. I really appreciate you getting involved. Sancho did play for City, not many games, but he was in their academy setup, I believe, and played a few cup games and stuff. And now he's falling over Chelsea, his boyhood club. It's just a job for most of these players. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's just a job. And I know we see it from an outside point of view that, oh, yeah, they should be only playing for us, blah, 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 blah. And you mentioned in backstage, talking about snakes and leaving players that left, you talked about Angel Di Maria. It was such a crazy moment when we signed him, because I believe it was around the same sort of time we also signed Falcao. It was that Louis van Gaal era where there was all these great players coming and we were thinking, fucking hell, we're going to do something now. And then I understand that his house was burgled and his wife hated Manchester. But the way he left, for me, wound me up, because he published all those things. Like, he hates Manchester. It's always raining. Yeah, no shit. It's always raining in Manchester. I've never been to Manchester when it's not raining. So have you got any strong feelings on Di Maria as well? I'm getting out.
I can't stand him for the way he came out about Manchester. Look, if he wanted to know about the weather, look up a fucking weather app. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. It's raining in Manchester. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, come on. 99% of the time it's raining there. You know, he knew what he was signing himself up for. And do you know what? It was disgraceful the way he treated the club and talked about the club afterwards. And I think that's why he gets a lot of hatred from United fans. And he will be booed if ever he comes to Old Trafford. And rightly so. He deserves it for what he talked about, the way he talked about the club. So, no, I'd do no favours for him anyway.
There's that great clip of when they came against us in the Champions League. PSG came to us in the Champions League, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Where I think it was Ashley Young barged him off the pitch into the side hoardings. And it's such a great video. It comes up every now and then. It's awesome. I believe it was Ashley Young. I could be wrong. But, yeah, it's literally a case of he's just running down the wing and Ashley Young just barges him out of the way straight into the side hoardings. Yeah, players like that. I mean, you think of players that have gone to PSG after leaving United. I don't know whether he went there directly, but Ander Herrera, he was a good player for us. And I won't have anything said bad about him, because he really did enjoy playing for United. I can't remember if he left us directly to PSG or not, but he was a great player for us. He might have been a squad rotational player, but there were some real good moments with him. And you always remember that, where he spits on the City badge walking into the tunnel. You know, it's little moments like that you think, yeah, that's a United player. That's a red for him.
Herrera endeared himself to the fans in Old Trafford because he tried his heart out every time he played for the club, has spoken great about the club since he's left. So, I mean, that's why he'll always be showing love. I was actually sad to see him go when he left. You know, I would have liked to see him stay. I thought he was better than some of the shite we kept.
Well, he was only what? He was only like mid-20s, like 26, 27, I think, when he left. I could have been younger than that. So it seems like a crazy decision when it happened. But yeah, I mean, speaking of snakes and transfers, you've got players like Tevez.
Oh,
Tevez has got to be the worst one, I think.
Yeah.
Quickly, let's jump on Trevor's comment here. Herrera played for the bad, went to PSG. Thank you, Trevor. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
he did play for the badge. That was the difference between him and the so-called snakes. At least he tried his heart out, and that's why I don't give out about when people be giving out about Fred. Not the most technically gifted Brazilian we've ever seen in Old Trafford, but you know what? He tried his heart out every time.
Absolutely,
you know? And that's what we want. We want to see players out there 1 to 11 busting a gut to win the game for United. You know,
I mean, at the moment, we would have taken Fred over Casemiro, I think. Like the way Casemiro is playing at the minute, at least you've got Fred, who would literally run the length of the pitch and still just keep going. For me, I personally would be having him over Casemiro at the moment.
Well, the thing is with Fred, if he doesn't get the ball, he's going to get the man, and he's going to do everything he can to break up the play, and that is the difference. Cass at the moment is just having so many fuck-ups, you know. I mean, we gifted Liverpool 2 goals from mistakes by Cass. I think that was more. He's a player we bought during the Glazers' reign, so I think that was more of a Glazer buy, and I don't think we'll see that kind of buy again with Ineos in charge.
No, definitely not. Yeah, probably the biggest snake of them all is probably Carlos Tevez. It was a strange. I can't remember too much about it, but I remember it being a bit of a shock. and a bit of a what the fuck moment when he signed for City. Do you remember much of the time when he left, or like what the circumstances were?
I think he said in one interview he was being treated like a dog, and he wasn't happy with the way he was being treated by management. But what will stick with me for Tevez forever was when he held that sign up about Fergie, and
Rest in peace.
I wanted to put my foot through the TV when I saw that. Like, he was dead to me once I saw that. He was bad enough when he went to them anyway, but the minute he did that, gone.
Yeah, it's another player that people throw out there for like one of the best front threes we had, and people just it's all about what they did after. For me, I know that he was probably brilliant for us, scored so many goals, helped us out in so many situations. But if you leave the club in a bad way and then move to a rival, it's just where the saying loyalty is dead in football, and it is. I understand what Trevor said earlier about it's all about the money, it's all about the Benjamins. I get that. But there has to be a level of respect to your colleagues or your former colleagues. There we go. A mad agent.
Yes, agent. Like, I mean,
it's another agent situation.
Yeah, and every time that agent's name was mentioned, there was shade following it. He just drove every deal. Sure, Tevez was. What was the story? Was he kind of owned or as part of a contract, and people get after him? So I mean, that was just purely driven by money.
Yeah, it's such a shame. Such a shame indeed. There you go. Were half owned by their agent, him and Mascherano. Yeah, see. Yeah. And there was that agent, wasn't there? I think it was Pogba's agent who owned pretty much loads of players. I think he had Haaland, he had might have had Ibrahimovic. I could be wrong on that one. And I can't remember his name. I think he recently passed away, or a couple of years ago passed away. But he was another agent where he was so desperate for money that he would just throw everything at it. And it was like you're literally pulling the player's career apart, especially in Pogba's case. He brought Pogba back and it ruined his career because he didn't do much for us when he came back the second time.
Nothing.
I think he had one. The only good game I remember was when he dyed his hair blue and we played against City. And I found that remarkable. But he scored 2 goals and set up the third. And that was when we stopped him winning the league that game, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that was Mourinho era. But yeah, it's moments like that you think, your agents are sometimes destroying players' careers for the money.
Yeah, I mean, even look at he's probably not as bad subject, but Lukaku, who plays for freaking everyone. I think I saw a crazy stat there lately. I'm trying to figure out. I can't remember. Is it 380 million in transfers he's actually amassed from all his different transfers? I think it's something like that. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of agents' fees.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's coming across, especially in club football. Like, you look at people like Sterling. I don't think that was a case. He got bought by City because he was fitting a role for City. He was sold by City because his time was up. And then he's gone to Chelsea under the impression he was going to make an impact. He's on 300 grand a week at City. Not at City, sorry, at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Didn't really do much. And to be then, it's strange from both ends. It's strange from Arsenal to go for Raheem Sterling. I know it was a case of he was offered to Arsenal by Chelsea. And it seems like a strange deal. But it definitely seems like, and it's also a case of we've then given Sancho to Chelsea. There was definitely a PSR thing going on, I believe. But nevertheless, it's a case of there are certain. I mean, there was the I want to say Alex Greenwood for the Man United women. I think she played. No, not Man United women. She played for Everton women, then Liverpool women, and then Arsenal women, and then I think it was the City women. So she's sort of done the rounds as well. And it's like, is there no like self-respect in that case, or is it pure? It just seems to be purely based around money.
But it just seems to be the fans have more connection with the club, and than the players these days do. And I think that's why we see a disconnect between the players and the fans. Like, I mean, we've all memories growing up where we're over in Old Trafford and the players are actually coming up and shaking hands, signing autographs, taking pictures. I mean, all we're seeing these days is videos of 90% of the players walking past the fans, not even acknowledging them. And I mean, they have to get what it means to play for the club, you know, and that's the problem. They don't seem to get it. They don't seem to know the history of it. Like, I mean, Brian Robson, fantastic player, fantastic captain, knew what it was to play for United, you know. Dennis Irwin, Gary Pallister, David May. It's all old players that we're mentioning when we're mentioning loyalty. And there's very few of the newer players that are in that bracket.
Yeah, there you go. Trevor's pretty much nailed it on there. Unfortunately, football today is a business. That's why there's so many side deals. I mean, it even comes down, when it comes to money, it even comes down to the amount of advertising in a stadium now. There is advertising on every inch of a football ground. Every single sector of a football ground has got an advert on it, and it just seems to be. We said about it in another show on Future of Football a couple of shows ago that it's no longer the beautiful game in terms of that. It's just Moneyball. I think Reece said it's just Moneyball now, and it all comes down to the fact that agents and players' heads are being turned by big money moves, and it would be a shame to see players that we've got in the ranks now at United to move on to, say, a Liverpool or a City just because of money or the opportunity to win something. Because you can see, there was the argument that when Robin van Persie left Arsenal came to us, it worked out really great for us, but he was a Judas to Arsenal, and he won a title in the first year of leaving. If it's a case of you're going to win something at another club, surely you'd go.
Yeah, well, I get why the Arsenal fans went against RVP for that, because that's the way we feel about our better players going to other clubs. There's just a quartet, say, of clubs that United players should not go to, and that's why fans lose the plot when it happens to one of their own, and we keep harping back to it, but that's why Michael tarnished his reputation with a lot of the fan base. We don't like to see it. We don't want to see him going to City. We don't want to see him going to Liverpool. Don't really care about fucking Arsenal or anyone. But Liverpool and City, they're the two we don't want to see our players going to. And that's my own one anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got Trevor here again. We spoke about this with Reece last time about players leaving, and we talked about Ronaldo, and it looked like Ivan Toney's off to Saudi, and he could be earning 50 million for 3 years' work. It's just.
But as a player, I mean, he, like anyone with half a brain, knows that's only about money, because I mean, he's not going out there to improve his game. He's probably going to tear it up out there, and batter a few. But I mean, that's just pure money driven, and nothing says anything more than that. I mean, Tony to Saudi, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it seems such a shame as well at his stage of his career. Yeah, he's had he had the ban, served the ban. He was going to run the rest of the season for Brentford. It just came down to the fact that he's such a young-ish player. He's sort of coming into his prime now. And just to go to Saudi seems crazy. But, if we were offered the money that they're getting to go off and do our jobs over in Saudi Arabia, we would absolutely jump to the chance. We'd be stupid not to. But yeah, there is a sort of a big argument happened. I think you're in the group chat as well, Dec. There was a big argument the other day about the England-Ireland game.
Yeah.
And I saw the flags, but I didn't manage to watch the game. But I did see on Twitter the flags that, Grealish and Rice, Snakes and all that. What is your personal feelings towards that? Towards those two players in particular? Have you got any strong feelings about it? Or are you not really fussed? Because they've obviously, I believe Rice made appearances for Ireland. Might have scored a goal, kissed the badge, all that sort of stuff. Did Grealish make many appearances for Ireland? Or
see, like they both made appearances for Ireland. I think Grealish was more underage than Rice. So Rice has historically got a bit more hate until he scored the last day, and he didn't celebrate the goal. But Grealish then, when he scored, of course, he, like the twat he is, he celebrated his goal. And look, come here. I think there's always going to be players switching allegiances. Again, this is it to a T, switching allegiances to even their country. But I mean, I think both of them were born in England. I think it was Jack Charlton that started us robbing players from any country we could find a grandparent in, you know. So I don't have strong views on it. I don't like Grealish anyway because I think he's a twat. Right. Rice, I have less issues with. Some people will take it a lot harder than me. Me personally, I didn't like either of them anyway.
Yeah, because it's interesting because obviously we talk about loyalty in club football, how everyone just moves around, you know, it's all about the money and stuff, but there isn't much money playing for your national team. It's all about exposure. A lot of the money, as far as I'm aware, a lot of the money that you get from playing for England goes directly back to the Bobby Moore Fund or whatever charity they've got going on at the FA. That's fun. But there has to be a way, because at one point they were even saying, you know, when Adnan Januzaj dropped onto the scene for United, there was talks about 6 or 7 different international sides want him to join theirs, and it seems crazy to me. Yeah, there you go. There's Trevor mentioning there. Declan Rice saying he didn't want to celebrate against Ireland was a bit contradictory. Why did he switch? And that's what I'm saying. You know, if once you've chosen an international side, whether it's under 18s, under 21s, doesn't matter. Once you've chosen, surely that's it. You've made your decision. You've represented your country at whatever age and whatever tournament or whatever friendly. You've made your decision. Now make your bed, now lie in it. It did cause massive uproar in the group chat because a few of the guys, you know, Irish and English, were going at each other because of the result as well. Not that I give a shit about the result. It makes no odds to me whatsoever. I couldn't care less about the Nations League. Hence why I decided to do a show tonight.
I don't think it'll change until they come down to a simple decision. If you're born in England, play for England. If you're born in Ireland, play for Ireland. If you're born in America, play for America. There's been too many rules bent in relation to grandparents, great-grandparents. The simple way to stop it all is keep it that simple. I do agree that when Rice and Grealish had picked Ireland initially, well then pick it. Stop saying they played a friendly and they fucking wore the jersey half over the head. No, if you play for at the current time, if you play for Ireland, then that's it. If you play for England, that's it. You shouldn't be allowed to switch allegiance after 1 or 2, 3 games. That makes no sense. And it will cause massive trouble between fans, you know. It's a bone of contention. It even made the newspapers over here. I mean, in Ireland, when Rice was switching, or when it was initially talked about Rice, it even harked back to, you've taken our potatoes during the famine, but you'll never take our rice, you know? I mean, this is brought up. So, I mean, it does stoke up the emotions, but the only way to shut it down is wherever you're born, you play for, that's it, end off.
There you go. Trevor makes another point. Rice played 3 full international caps for Ireland, and once you play 1, it should be that your country, end of story. It's not an audition for a bigger country. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's just, and there's also, you know, the harping on about like allegiances and stuff. You've got Lee Carsley as England manager, who made 40 appearances for the Republic of Ireland, and there are Irish people going absolutely crazy about that. I have no issue with it. I couldn't care if the England manager was foreign, Irish. Does not bother me as long as we win games. But there seems to be this massive issue with it for some people. What do you have? Again, do you have an issue with the fact that Lee Gary is Irish?
No,
managing England.
No, I've no issue with it at all. Some people go completely nuts over it. I won't. I mean, look at the manager. I can't even remember. Where's our manager? Is he Iceland now? Irish manager. I know John O'Shea's there as assistant manager. I think he's from Iceland. So, I mean, we can't be giving out about. Carsley has been working under 21s in England and there was no issue. But now there's an issue because he's working with the main team. Yeah. I think it would have been a lot more people going nutty if we'd seen Lee Carsley standing there with his hand on the chest singing the English national anthem. I think that probably would have exploded the roof off the stadium the last night. He's there doing a job. He's been working behind the scenes for the last number of years. So I personally don't have any issue with him being manager there anyway.
Yeah, see, when I heard that he wasn't going to sing it, and obviously I understand why he wasn't going to sing it, blah, blah, blah. I know he's Irish at heart. But he gave an excuse as if to say, whenever I played, I never sung it because I was always focused on the game. Don't sprout bullshit.
Yeah.
If you don't want to sing it because your allegiance is at your heart and your country is Ireland and you're there to do a job for England, just say, look, I'm not going to sing the English national anthem because I'm not English. It shouldn't be up to me to sing the national anthem for a team I manage. If I'm not, if he stood there and then sung the Irish national anthem, it's a slightly different story. If I'm managing England, you don't sing the Irish national anthem. But there is even an argument for that. You could sort of say, he's an Irishman at heart, so he may want to sing the Irish anthem. He wouldn't do that as an England manager because it's disrespectful. But don't sprout shit and say, look, I'm not going to sing it because I'm focused on the game. You're not singing it because you're not English at heart. So I understand that, but don't sprout the shit. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'd like to see the current Irish man.
No, you haven't disconnected, have you? Can't leave me on
national anthem. I think that'd actually be funny in Irish. And
I'll sing it in. Yeah.
Sorry there now.
You good?
James.
All good? Oh no. Are you good, Deck? Can you hear me? It's not ideal when you've only got 2 people on the pod. Deck, are you good? Trevor, talk to me while Deck's sorting out his thing. Right, we'll wait for Deck to come back. There we go. Let's try him again now. Hello.
The Gremlins obviously got on my phone.
The Gremlins got into it there. I've never had to do a show by myself, and for the 60 seconds there, I absolutely cracked myself. So glad to have you back. We were saying that obviously if you decided to sing the Irish national anthem instead of the English one, but being an England manager. Trevor jumping in again. You're being absolutely brilliant tonight, Trevor. Another issue with Rice singing the English national anthem while previously was singing the rebel songs against the English shows how fake he is. For the Irish fans, it was like a dagger to the heart. What would you say to that, Dick?
Well, Rice is always going. The fact that he made 3 full internationals, it should have been end of story. He should never have been allowed to change allegiance. If he wanted to play for England, don't play for Ireland for 3 games. It's simple. There would never have been an argument, wouldn't have come up in discussion. But the fact that he put on the green jersey 3 times and turned out for Ireland, that's why he's going to get so much hate. You know, you know what? I just don't. That was Proclaim. I don't know why he thinks I look like one of the Proclaimers.
Trevor's got some real ambitious and brilliant takeaways from any show we do, so it's brilliant always having him around.
I will not walk 100 miles.
Right, let's move on.
I think that's why Rice gets the heat. The fact that he actually put on the Ireland jersey, went out with his Irish teammates, and then just basically told him to fuck off after 3 games. You know, they need to tighten up on the rules.
Look, it's a shame that there isn't more loyalty in football. Don't get me wrong. There are some players out there that are still playing for their one-team clubs, and we do have to admire that in this day and age, but it is what it is. If you think this is a negative directive show, we try not to, but there is a case that we've come to the conclusion that, unfortunately, loyalty is dead in football. Let's switch it up now. We've had enough of talking about sport. I'm bored of talking about sport. Let's have a quick look at the scores. Should be approaching half-time in the nations' leagues. I won't bore you with all the other teams, but it looks like, Republic of Ireland 0, Greece 0, and England 0, Finland 0. Oh, there you go. That's nice and easy. If you're interested, it's the Netherlands 1, Germany 2. Apart from that, all the other... Malta are beating Andorra 1-0. And, boring. All the other teams are 0-0. And if you are interested, Wrexham is 1-1 with Salford in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy.
I'd actually have more interest in the Wrexham and Salford game than I would the internationals.
Yeah, it's actually, there was a notification just then that Paul Mullin celebrated with a Deadpool mask. So that's
Yeah.
quite cool. Very cool. Right, moving on. I'm bored of talking about sport. How desperate? We're going to move on to something that I like to do. I like to do an offbeat news story that I found and gone, oh, that's cool. Let's talk about that. So, what's the most desperate you've ever been for a pint, Dick? Pint of beer or a cider, whatever your choice is. How desperate would you have to be? How desperate could you be? Go on.
Well, I'm Irish, so I'm always desperate for a pint, and
Always desperate.
I'll be having one right after the podcast.
There we go. So, how about 3 days to hike for a pint? It is Britain's most remote pub, and it's a wilderness walk, and it takes 3 days hiking to get there. So
You'd have to bring beer with you.
you can't travel 3 days in tents and camping gear and not take alcohol with you.
No.
So
like I once did a 100-kilometer run and went for a couple of pints after it.
You'd have to.
You
absolutely have to. What was that for? Was that for a charity, or was that just you fancied it?
No, we did. That year we did 20 marathons and 100k run for charity.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
What was the charity?
It was Crumlin Children's Hospital up in Dublin.
Oh, fantastic! Well, there you go.
So, 20 marathons, 100k, and loads of pints. It was good. Travelled around the world, did a few different marathons for it.
Fantastic. Well, there you go. If you didn't know anything about Dick, you do now. He's a saint and he does stuff for charity. Right. So the 3-day wilderness walk is to go to a pub called the Old Forge in Inverhere on the western coast of Scotland. It's just a 30-mile trek to get there over mountains and lakes and whatever else. And I just think, surely, like you said, there you go. Pint of water for me. It was that day in the Sahara, and I was a blistering sun with beaming on my brow. Yeah. Speaking of Sahara, right? I went when I was younger. I can't remember how old now, but we did a excursion. We were on holiday in Tunisia, and we did an excursion to the Sahara Desert, to camel trekking for it. And the guy on the coach said, "Don't take the cold bottles of Coke from the guys in the middle of the Sahara, because they will charge you stupid money." And what was the first thing my little hand did when I got off the straight? And they were like, whatever, I can't remember what the currency was, but they were like 20. And my dad was like, hell no. So, yeah, that's the only thing I remember about the Sahara. Trevor, you might know a bit more about that. There you go. Deck runs 500-mile marathons. We've done you there. But yeah, I don't think, if you're going to do a 3-day trek, you would have to take alcohol with you. You could just not do it. But there you go. It's, I can't remember, 30-mile trek from Glenfinnan to the Old Forge. Warm weather was in short supply. It was middle of summer, freezing, and it was wet. Thick mud sucked at their boots, and they had to find blustery night for shelter. It's one of the most last wilderness, and it feels special when you finish that journey. On a map, it doesn't look that impressive, I'll be honest. But the pub doesn't look that great either. Oh no, from the outside, I tell a lie. I apologise to the landlord or lady at the Old Forge. But from the outside, it looks pretty rough. But on the inside, it's lovely. But yeah,
someone sponsor me. I'll run it in a day.
There you go. So yeah, I just found that and thought that's pretty cool. It doesn't say if they did it for charity or not. I think it's just because they were desperate for a pint. So there you go. Right. What's this? It looks like when they tell you, oh, what's this? It's like when they tell you, don't look behind you, and what you do automatically look behind. Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what I did in the Sahara Desert. Right. I like to do, as it's 10 to 9, I'm going to do a top 10 before 10. Have you seen the show before? I'm not going to have a go at you if you haven't. Deck.
I have, yeah.
You have? So last time I did a top 10, and it was the happiest cities in Europe. The time before that, it was where the best place to find craft lager was. This one is how about the top 10 cities for foodies in the UK? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Back in February, researchers analysed data from TripAdvisor, which looked at the number of Michelin star, vegetarian and vegan-friendly restaurants in the UK. Basically, this is a list for the poncy and the tiny portions. If you're going out to spend 500 plus quid on a meal and still feel hungry afterwards, this is the sort of list they've made. Why do you want to know the top 10 list? I don't know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Do you have any guesses on the list, Deck, of where the best meals or the best restaurants may be in the UK?
I presume London is going to have to feature on it because
where do you think it's featured?
Ooh, I'm going to go with third.
No.
It
came in. This is a score out of 100. It came in at number 1.
Oh.
And it came up with an 83.56 out of 100 for best food in the country or in the UK. Strange. Anywhere else? Do you want to? I'll try and get you to say a number. I don't think you'll get number 5, and I don't think you'll get number 3. But go on, chuck me another city. There you go.
Manchester.
Manchester does not feature in the list.
They obviously haven't been to the Curry Mile then.
They have not. And I tell you what, it is literally the best mile in the country.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
It is absolutely brilliant.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
And the fact that you can eat curry all the way through the Curry Mile and then there's a Wetherspoons at the other end.
Yeah.
Absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stayed in a hostel one year. Me and a couple of mates went to a charity match at Old Trafford. And we stayed literally on one end of the Curry Mile. And we literally bumped up all the shisha lounges and the curry restaurants all the way up. And then we found the Wetherspoons at the end. It was absolutely bliss.
Yeah. Now, that's a proper hike. The Curry Mile.
There you go.
Spoons.
3 days for a pint or a mile through Curry Mile. I'm taking Curry Mile all day long.
100%, yeah.
Right, what do you reckon? So you've got number 1, so you've now got to 10 to 2. I won't let you do all of them. I'll tell you a couple, but go on, name another city.
Newcastle.
Newcastle is in there. So this is the drastic. So number 4 is Newcastle. Now London was 83.56. Newcastle is 48.61, and it's top 5.
Shit.
So there you go. I'll give you number 10. Number 10 is Leeds. Now, whatever you think about Leeds and their football team, it's a horrible place. I hate Leeds in every sense of the word.
It is a shithole.
So the fact they've made top 10 for food. Yeah. I apologise anyone watching, the whole 2 people watching right now. If you're from Leeds, I apologise. But there you go.
They should apologise to us.
Yeah. Number 9 is Reading. Now, I've been to Reading. Again, I wouldn't have anticipated this, but there you go. 43.34 on the out of 100. Number 8 doesn't surprise me. Number 8 is Cardiff, and I love Cardiff. I think it's a really lovely city.
Yeah,
they got a score of 44.69. Yeah, it's a really nice place. Number 7, Belfast.
Belfast isn't bad. I've been up there a few times. Yeah,
yeah, they got a score of 46 on the dot.
Yeah, they have a great airport.
Great airport. So we've got 6. You've already got number 4, 1. So what about number 6? What do you reckon? Chuck me another city, Dick.
If Cardiff's in there, I'm wondering if Swansea in there.
Nope, Swansea's not in there.
What about? Oh, please don't tell me Liverpool's there.
No, thank God Liverpool is not in there.
Oh, that's okay. I'm nearly more excited that they're not there.
Yeah. We've got 4 cities left that we haven't mentioned already. I'll give you a hint. One of them's Scottish. One of them's a Scottish city.
Edinburgh.
Bang on. Number 2. 61. So this is the gulf in between them. So you've got London was number 1 on 83.56 out of 100. Edinburgh was number 2 on 61.26.
Jeez, that's
nearly 20 points in between them.
Edinburgh's actually pretty good. I was there last year, and if I could remember the name of the place where I had breakfast, it was savage. It was pretty good now.
I have to say, I've never crossed the border.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I've never even been to Ireland or Northern Ireland. It's strange, really. The only actual other part of the UK I've been to is Wales.
Yeah, I've been to Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. Yeah, I've done them all.
Yeah. I need to scratch a few off the old the map. So we've got 3 remaining. 3 remaining? Yeah, 3 remaining. 6, 5, and 3. What do you reckon?
London. Well, London's the main one. Jeez, there is a big drop. Is there another Scottish city there? No.
No.
Oh.
There's one in the West Country, if that helps.
I'm showing up my geography skills now. West Country. I know. Yeah, I can mention Wolves and West Brom. What the fuck's the name of the place that they're all from? Birmingham.
No, Birmingham's not in there. I'll give you another one. So number 6 is Bristol.
Oh, okay.
Very nice city. I love going to city. I think that's actually featured a few times in our top 10s before 10. I think that featured. Oh no, it featured in the what was it? Oh, that was in the happiest cities in Europe. That was number 7 on that list.
No, I haven't been there now, so I don't know what it's like.
So Bristol comes in at 6 with 47.19. There you go. He loves these, doesn't he, Trevor? That was in Edinburgh last year. Absolute legend. Absolute legend. Right, we've got 2 left. I don't think you'll get them. One is Plymouth.
Definitely wouldn't have got it.
No, never been. Wayne Rooney was there. That's all I know. That's all I know about Plymouth.
Yeah, no, nothing about it.
There was an offbeat news story that I brought to you guys the other day, or the other week, I should say, and it was that there was a mansion or a private island for 25 million going up for sale. I'll have to look into that, see if it's actually sold. I can bring you on the next show. The other one, I don't criticize at all because I love this city, and my wife and my wife's friend and friend of a friend, we share the same birthday, me and her partner, and they took us to this city for our birthday this year, and it's Brighton. Number 3 is Brighton.
Everyone that goes there seems to say good things about it.
It's brilliant. You know, it's not as good as it was maybe 5 years ago, in such short space of time, but it is still a really good place to go. And we went to the marina for dinner on our actual birthday, and we went to this amazing Turkish restaurant, and it was insanely good. So there you go. That's your top 10 before 10. Leeds, Reading, Cardiff, Belfast, Bristol, Plymouth, Newcastle, Brighton, Edinburgh, and London. And that is the top 10 of Michelin star vegan and Michelin star vegetarian and vegan friendly restaurants in the UK. There you go.
We apologise to the Curry Mile in Manchester.
Yeah, we send our condolences to the fact that Curry Mile has not been mentioned. I'm going to put at the bottom of that, I'm going to put 11 Curry Mile.
Yeah.
With a score.
I'll be there in 2 weeks. I can't wait.
I need to get back to Manchester. I haven't been for so long. I'll have to get to a game. Right. Deck, it's been an absolute pleasure, sir. We've nearly done an hour. I really appreciate you coming on tonight because I know everyone's really super busy. You've had a really long day at work. So I do really appreciate your time, sir. Are you on any other shows this week, or have you got a week off for the rest of the week? What are you up to?
I'm working nights now, the next 2 nights, so that's me out. And go visiting relatives then the weekend. Few pints, few beers.
Have you got? I'll get you. What I'll do. We've got a few shows coming up on the channel. So we have. Where's it gone? There it is. Obviously, we've got tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed it. We've got Talk of the League, and I feature on Talk of the League again this week. You'll be so pleased to hear. We've got myself, Evan, and Reese Russell down for that at the moment. We've then got the preview with Dara on Friday, and then we'll have the review with Mark or Stu on Saturday. Do you have a quick score prediction for us for the Saturday game against Southampton, Deck?
I think we're finally going to turn up for a game. And now I'm saying this in hope more than anticipation, but I'm going for a 3-0 win.
3-0 win. I would agree with you. It's surely got to be everyone says, because there was a season or 2 ago where we were absolutely demolishing teams before the international break, and then the international break hit and it just went to shit. Yeah. So I'm saying it's going to be the other way around now, and we're going to absolutely go on this amazing run. So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say 3-0 to United on Saturday. Right. Really appreciate you coming on, guys. Trevor, really appreciate your time tonight, mate. And there you go. He's asking, what time is your set starting over the next few nights?
I'm going to start charging him now. I might actually sign a Proclaimers album for him, see will he buy it.
I mean, I think he'd absolutely love that. Pleasure, Deck. Thank you very much, and speak to you all again very soon.
Cheers.